Mark Davies, first of all, many congratulations, and your grin sort of says it all, really.
Thank you very much. Very, very excited. Thanks.
When were you aware that these sort of changes were going to happen?
I've sort of heard a little bit about it for the last couple of weeks, really, but officially, obviously, like everyone else knew, I knew probably a little bit earlier because Robbo mentioned to me he got the role with England, which is very, very exciting. And before that, obviously, as Zach mentioned, the structure was in place for a while as well. So very excited and, as I say, look forward to the challenge.
We'll talk about that sort of director of cricket role in a moment's time. But you've served a long apprenticeship here at Sussex. And in terms of your career, has this sort of come at the right time for you, Mark?
I think so. I think it's amazing. I mean, it's a great club, this, and I love the club. I'm passionate about this club. So obviously, Robbo and I together worked as a team for a decade. Would you believe it? We both started in 2005. So I've done various jobs. I've obviously done the second team role for 5 years. That's how I started, and then became sort of more Robbo's assistant, the back end of the 10 years, and that's how it's been, really. So I've had sort of vast experience in different areas of the club. Obviously played here since 2001 under Pete Moore, so I've had two really good coaches to learn from, and happy to have the opportunity.
Talking about coaches, presumably you've got a chance to sort of build your own team. How important is that relationship you've learned from between yourself and Mark Robinson and you and whoever your new coaching staff is going to be?
Definitely, I think it's important. I think it's really, really important that you as a coaching group are seen as a very strong entity and a very strong group. So I want to try and empower the coaches around me and make sure that they reach the potential that they want to reach as well. So we've got Johnny Liu as the bowling coach at the moment. You've got Carl Hopkinson who does the fielding. Our S&C is fantastic, and so is our physio. So I think the whole group, the whole coaching group as a whole, I need to empower them and make sure that they reach their potential.
And what about in terms of going forward? Have you had any thoughts about who else you might be bringing in or promoting to a more senior role?
I think obviously it's well documented that we're going to look for a batting coach. Zach also mentioned that as well. So I think that's important. I think from our perspective as a coaching group, we need to set the environment right and make sure we have the right people in the coaching group to be able to develop the players and get them playing better. So I think a batting coach would be a really good idea. Who that candidate is, I'm not sure at the moment, but we can have a look and see who's out there. And I think if we get a good batting coach on board, I think we've got a really, really good, strong coaching team. So it covers all bases, as I say. And what you want, from my perspective, is the environment to be right. And I think if we get the coaching staff right and we get the values right and we get everything around that side of the game right, I think we'll be fine. I think we've got a really good squad.
How soon are you looking to make those appointments, Mark?
I think pretty soon, really. Hopefully we can get those established as soon as we can, because I think it's important, especially from a batting coach perspective, that he works with the batters now, because a lot of your work, technical work, is done in the winter. So it's important we get that done, but no rush, because obviously we need to get the right person. So it's a bit of a balance there. So I think we definitely need to get that person instated as soon as we can.
You've been in the dressing room, you know the players well. Can that be a disadvantage? Because now you're the head man, Mark. You're not perhaps their friend anymore.
Totally. I see it as a huge advantage, actually, because I know the players, I know what drives them, I know how they respond in various situations. So I take your point, but I think it's going to be a benefit for me. I know the players well, I've known them for a long time, and I think coaches that walk into any environment, I think getting to know your players is crucial, and understanding your players. So I'll manage every player differently, because I understand them, I know what they require and what they need from me. My style will be slightly different to Robbo's. I am a different person to Robbo. We have very similar values, if you like, but we do things very differently as well. So I'll take a lot from what he did over here, because he did an amazing job at Sussex. So I'll take a lot of the stuff and a lot of the strengths that I saw in him, I'd certainly take into my coaching. And obviously Pete Moore's as well, because I played under Pete and I loved his style of coaching, so I'll take a lot from him. So I think the advantage to being in the role for a long time is that you learn from lots of coaches that you've worked with or played under, as it were. So I'm very clear in the way that I'm going to move forward. So, as I say, good challenge ahead.
You always seem like a very amenable guy.
Yeah.
Is there another side to Mark Davies?
Definitely. You know, if you look at the insights, but I'm green, which is very personable and nice, and I'm also red, so I can also lose it as well. So it's quite a good combination. I think Andy Flowers are similar. So I think I'm sort of, you know, I've got a lot of empathy for people, and I like to see the good in people, but obviously there's a line, and we don't want to be crossing that line either.
I know it's not good news that you'll start in the second division of the Championship next season, but I just wonder as a new coach whether in some ways it's an advantage, because some people say come into a coaching role and say, well, it's going well, it ain't broke, don't fix it. But actually, you're not in that position.
I'm not really. We've obviously been relegated. We ended, you know, the points table doesn't lie, so we are where we are. I think we had Pretty unlucky injury-wise, so there are quite a few people that had freak injuries and they couldn't play all season, so that obviously affected us in Division 1. We didn't play well enough, and that's obviously why we got relegated. So I think from that perspective, I think it's a good opportunity to get young players through and also sort of develop a team that's going to move forward, not only get promoted, but a team that will be promoted and obviously compete at that level as well. You know, you don't just want to get promoted and keep going up and down the whole time. You want to get up there and make sure that you compete at that level. So we'll have a smaller squad. Our budget is obviously more challenging than a lot of the clubs around, so we'll have a smaller squad and we need to keep those players on the pitch. If we do that, I'm very confident that we've got a really, really strong squad and we can move forward and challenge people.
Was there any complacency around the squad at all last year, Mark, in terms of, you know, Sussex almost sort of slipped into relegation in the last few matches?
Not at all. Not at all. We were aware of it. We addressed it at numerous times. We addressed it. You know, it is just the way it went. You know, the cards went against us a little bit. As I say, we didn't play well enough. And the league doesn't lie, so we weren't good enough to stay in the division. We got relegated. We've got to take it on the chin and move forward. But we've got a good squad. You know, I don't believe that players become bad overnight. There's no way that happens. As I said, we had a few injuries. You know, we've got a really, really strong squad, good experienced senior players. We've got good youngsters coming through, so I'm very, very confident we can do well.
What will you be doing between now, because some of the players will be going away, the skipper will be going away to Big Bash in Australia. What will you be doing with those players to get them ready for next
So right now, sort of the last 10 days, we've worked a lot on the physicality side. So we felt as a team, we drew a bit of a line underneath us as a fielding group and said we had to move in that direction. And to become a good fielding team, you have to look at the physicality side of it, because you can't be a good fielding side if you're not fit and strong enough to be able to do the fielding. So that was one focus at the moment for us as a coaching group. We're trying to get the players fit and strong, more resilient, more robust, and improve their fielding. Because if we want to compete with white ball cricket especially, not to say you don't have to field well in 4-day cricket, but white ball cricket we have to get better as a fielding team. So that's our focus at the moment. Skill acquisition is something that obviously doesn't go away as well. We have to get our skills better, so that'll start more after Christmas. A couple of the batters will start now, and the bowlers will do their bowling and get their skill improved after Christmas. So that's more for after Christmas, whereas pre-Christmas is going to be a lot of the physicality side, lots of weights, lots of training, lots of fielding drills, etc.
I bet the players are delighted. Was there a feeling that perhaps the players weren't fit?
I don't know about weren't fit. I thought we got a little bit sloppy the back end of the year. I think we have to, you know, we can't only be fit for pre-season. We can't only be fit when we turn up for April, May, June, and then let it slide for the rest of the year, because actually they hand the prizes out in August, September, not in April, May. So we have to stay fit the whole way through. So we have to find a way with the S&C coach and the physios to make sure that we can keep people fit the whole way through and have more of a consistent sort of approach to fitness, if you like, as opposed to hitting it quite hard in the beginning and then just tapering off the back end. So we've addressed it, we've spoken about it, and we're certainly going to come back a far fitter team and a more resilient and robust team next season.
How excited are you about working with a new skipper as well?
Very, very. Luke started his career with me when I played here. Pete Moore signed him when he was a young lad at 19. So I've known Luke for a long time. I love his outlook on the game. I think he keeps it in perspective, which is good, because I'm the same. And I think it's important that we do keep it in perspective and just keep it real. You know, when we do well, it's not that we're the best team in the world. When we do badly, we're certainly not the worst team in the world. So I think that consistency of behaviour from Luke and myself, I think, will be something that you'll pick up and notice.
And he seems to skipper in a very positive way.
Very much so,
as well. Is that something that goes with your ethos as well of the way the game is played?
Definitely. I think we need to prepare and make sure that we're going to play in a certain way and then go out and play. And if we play to the way that we say we're going to play, win or lose, I have no problems. So I think Luke's very similar. His mindset is obviously that he plays in a certain way, and he's consistent in the mindset, and he doesn't sort of waver from that either. That's the way he's going to play, and that's the way that he gets success. So I think we'll hopefully instill that in the team as well. And
he skipped in the T20 last year. It's a big move to go from T20
Absolutely.
To 50 over and Championship as well. And you know, he's going to be batting, I guess, 5 or 6.
Yeah.
So a big responsibility, a big workload on Luke right for next
Massive
season.
workload, and that I think that's going to be the skill of me and the coaching staff to make sure we take as much off Luke as we can. So I've had loads of meetings with him already. I want to just understand from him what we can do for him. And obviously take that pressure off, because as you say, it's a big call to captain all 3 forms of the game and be one of the main players in the team as well. You know, it's a big stress. We've got to try and reduce that stress as much as we can.
You spoke about some of the players going overseas for development work this week. Did you sort of expand on that, Mark?
We've got a few people. There's a very good league apparently in Dubai that they play, and it's one-day cricket orientated. So it's only one-day cricket, 20-20 and 50 over cricket. So we want to try and get our players playing as much as we can. So for instance, if we use Luke Wells as an example, doesn't play that much one-day cricket, and how do we expect him to improve his skill if he doesn't actually play? So that was the idea, get people playing abroad, get people standing on their own 2 feet abroad as well, in a different environment, sort of take them out of their comfort zone as well. So I think it's a good league, and they can go and express themselves and play and bat and really understand and get to know their one-day cricket, because that's an area we need to move and get better at.
You say Chris Nash looking to move away?
Nash is going to go abroad to South Africa. He's done Cape Town for a couple of years, so he's going to go out and meet up with Gary Kirsten, who he's done work with as well. So obviously Gary's taken him under his wing, if you like, and he's done a bit of work with Nashy over there, so that's a good thing. Allows him to get outside and hit balls on grass as well, which you obviously don't have a luxury when you stay in England. So Righty goes abroad. We've obviously got CJ who's playing for England at the moment. Hopefully he gets into the World Cup squad and he plays in the World Cup as well. So a lot of the players going abroad to go and do that. Shazad needs to get outside on grass and actually get bowling again as well. So after Christmas there won't be that many staying in Cold Hove.
And some of the younger players as well, Matt Hobden away within the developments as well. How important for Matt as well? Because, you know, he played a lot of first-team cricket last season.
Very much so. I mean, Matt's very young in his career and he's learning his trade. Obviously, so are most of our squad. I think Matt's a young lad who's got loads of potential, but he's had opportunity last year. I think a lot of the opportunity came because quite a few players got injured as well, so it was really good for him, and I think hopefully he's learned a lot from his season and he can come back a better player, because that's what it's about. It's about having an experience, learning from it and moving on. And
how important as well, Mark, that come next April the players come back here and maybe they're not certain of their place in the side? How important is that competitive spirit that people have to be on their toes?
Very much so. I think it's a very good thing. We're going to be looking internally and looking individually, because I still believe that cricket is a team game, but it's played as individuals as well. So it's we have to sort our individual skill out, and people need to take ownership and responsibility for their skills. So we're going to be looking into that, and competitiveness is good. I think it'll be a strong squad. So if you want to play in the team, you've got to be, you've got to have your skills up to speed. So I think it's a good place to be.
Final question: Director of Cricket role. The chief executive has spoken about that. Someone coming in.
Sure.
That you will effectively report to that Director of Cricket. Yeah. How do you feel about that?
I'm okay with that. I think if it's the right person, I think it's, title is one thing. I think we have to all, everybody leads at different times. So I think with the Director of Cricket, I think it is a good role for me in many ways, because it can let me focus on the cricket, not actually worry about things away from cricket. Which I think Robbo, obviously in his role, I think it was all encompassing. So he had so many things on his plate. He had loads of things to do off the field as well as on the field. So I think the idea the Director of Cricket takes the heat of me off the field, and I'll be doing the on-the-field stuff and making sure the team performs.
I mentioned to Zach the football analogy, Director of Football. It doesn't seem to quite work in football. Does that concern you at all, Mark?
Not at all. I think it's the way it's going. I think a lot of clubs are doing it. Yorkshire's a good example. They obviously have Martin Moxon as their Director of Cricket and Gillespie as their coach, and I think there's a very clear line between the roles of the two people as well, and I think that obviously needs to be sorted out as well, because you don't want people sticking their noses into areas that they shouldn't be. So I think it's really important that we draw those lines up and make sure that everybody knows their roles, and I think it can be a great positive. So I'm confident it'll be a good thing for the club.